So Mercedes-Benz and Nvidia have partnered to bring software-defined vehicles to market in 2024. Twitter is hiding a Donald Trump tweet that threatened processors with serious force. And Microsoft has officially put its Android antivirus app in preview. This has been at Digital World. My name's Luke, and I guess we should get started. So, first thing I'm going to say is you will notice, apart from the very beginning and the very end, there will be no more intermissions. That is the final way I think I'm going to go with this. If it does, whilst yes, having the intermissions makes it easier for me to record because I can read the stories once more time whilst I'm listening to what I've already recorded, it is actually more fluent to just go straight ahead. And secondly, Apple did have their WWDC conference. I did a whole video on that yesterday, and I want to say that the betas are coming out in July. I just found out this morning, so if you're looking forward to trying out some betas, have a nice time in July. And as for a few other things, so I will also be doing videos on the YouTube channel, which will be launching tomorrow at the same time as the next episode. More details on that at the end of the episode. But when the betas do start coming out to general public availability, I don't have a beta account. I wish I did. I will be doing an iPadOS and a macOS. Fingers crossed, a macOS video. I found a way to get macOS running on Linux. Huge thanks to the massive developer community that's out there working on these sorts of things. So those will both be on my channel by the end of, well, those videos will be out when the public beta comes out. I don't have a developer account yet, but when they do come out, I will definitely be looking forward to that. So there will be more on each channel at the end of the episode, but let's get into today's first story. So the first two today are coming courtesy of TechCrunch, and the first one today is from Mercedes-Benz and Nvidia, who have partnered to bring software-defined vehicles to market in 2024. Now, if you dig into the guts of just about any modern luxury vehicle, you'll see lots of electronic control units. These are historically added as more technology is added. This has increased complexity and cost, as well as limitations that rivals like Tesla haven't been able to avoid. So Mercedes-Benz and Nvidia have announced a partnership to hopefully help eliminate the complexity whilst boosting performance and automated driving capabilities of a new generation vehicle. So this is a software-centric computing architecture based on Nvidia's Drive AGX Orin computer SoC. This will be the standard in Mercedes' next generation of vehicles starting sometime towards the end of 2024. So first thing I need to say, we will not be seeing this year or next year. This will be a 4-year turnaround. So you'll be waiting 4 years to start seeing this, as it makes sense. The chairman of the board of management of Daimler AG and head of Mercedes-Benz AG, Ola Kalenius, sorry if I got that wrong, announced this during a live stream. Nvidia's Orin SoC is based on its recently announced Nvidia Ampere supercomputing architecture and will provide a full software stack designed for automated driving AI applications. Mercedes-Benz and Nvidia will jointly develop the AI and automated vehicle applications and include level 2 and level 3 driver assistance functions, as well as automated parking functions up to level 4. The Society of Automobile Engineers has designated 5 levels of automation. A level 2 system means 2 primary functions are automated and still have a human driver in the loop at all times. Level 4 means that the vehicle can handle all aspects of driving in certain conditions without human intervention. So there's quite a broad range here, but it's definitely good for options. The new in-vehicle computing architecture will also support OTA updates, something that Tesla has employed for years, as well as upgrade features of its vehicles. It means they might see advanced driver assistance system of their vehicle improve months and possibly years after the initial purchase, and this is important for the business model of the company, according to Again, sorry if I got this name wrong. Hellenius is what he said on Tuesday, so today. All of these stories are, as of right now, from the last 3 hours. Literally just updated to make it 3 hours ago. Kind of annoying. But anyway. Now, many of you talk about the modern car, the new car is kind of a smartphone on wheels. That's definitely true. I actually think, because in a Tesla, for example, you've got maps. I know that's not, super modern, but you've got maps. You've got your Spotify. You've got a lot of stuff built into a Tesla and into most modern cars now. It really is a bit of a smartphone on wheels. In most of them, you can have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Definitely amazing. I haven't had a chance to try out either of them, but I am looking forward to maybe trying them out when I'm older. But it definitely seems very good. A start quote: one of the most important domains here is the driving assistant domain. That needs to dovetail into what we call software-driven architecture, end quote. So it's basically what they're saying is about they need to make driving assistance, or at least the way it sounds is about this, saying that driving assistant needs to be into the software architecture. So this is definitely important. And I can definitely see cars becoming more software based once they're all electric, especially because when you're electric, really the main things you need are the cameras for the self-driving, and then the battery and the motors. Once you've got all of that, I think most of it, as far as I'm aware, because there's no engine in electric vehicles, so I think a lot of software updates and stuff could be done, especially to possibly even reduce power consumption, which I think would definitely be very nice. Now, Hellenius added that this does help add recurrent revenue streams to its business, as the new in-vehicle computing platform will move Mercedes vehicles to a software app-based system, which would allow them to introduce third-party apps to its vehicles, which is what Hellenius likely refers to when he mentions new revenue streams, as a software-based app system would let customers purchase and add capabilities, software applications, and subscriptions services through OTA software updates during the life of the car. Now, that part there does kind of scare me a little bit, and the reason for this is that you can buy a basic car and you would have the right to drive that car, but then features could be locked behind payment subscription. Again, that is slightly scary. We move into this, what we're moving into, this kind of software and subscription based world. Now, this is not going to be a one-off or a pilot. It will be standard across Mercedes' next generation of vehicles. And if they follow the same strategy as it did with its next generation infotainment system called MBUX, could mean that its A-Class and not its flagship S-Class will be among the first to get this. Okay, so that's kind of the whole story from TechCrunch. I tried to boil it down as much as possible. So it definitely seems interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what this provides. However, it does scare me a little bit in terms of the whole subscription base. Like, okay, I brought a car, but then do I have to pay monthly to be able to do I pay, say, however many thousand pounds for this car, and then after I've spent, say, 15-20 grand on my car, I then have to spend another, say, 10 quid a month just to be allowed to drive it. And if I want to say the radio, I'd spend another 15 quid a month. Where could this lead? If it's going to lead to, you've got to pay us 15 grand, but then you've also got to pay us another 15 months just to be able to actually drive it. Is this where this could lead? And it's scary. It's scary because if they say, you got to pay us 15 grand, but then you also have to pay another £15 a month, otherwise you can't drive the car. Would that be allowed by governments? I'm hoping they wouldn't allow that. But B, would companies actually do that? See, I don't know. I think this is definitely software as a service is becoming a thing. We've seen this. I don't know. See, I can see two people who've done it first in terms of a large scale way, and I would have to say Apple probably started it first, because Apple with macOS, obviously their software updates, they just do OTA software updates. We've been doing them for years now. Windows recently started doing, major software updates to Windows twice a year over, again, software as a service. service. Obviously, you've got Android and iOS. Again, you've got that, but you pay for a basic license, which comes when you buy your phone. So, there is some scary parts of this. What could this bring in the future? So anyway, let's move on from this and move on to something which is not too surprising, and I'm definitely not surprised Twitter have done, which is hide Donald Trump's tweet threatening protesters with serious force. So there we go. Okay. So Twitter took its latest action against President Trump on Tuesday, again today, hiding a threat of state violence behind a warning label and appending it with a notice. Trump's latest offending tweet declared, start quote, there will never be an autonomous zone in Washington, D.C. as long as I'm your president. If they try, they will be met with serious force, end quote. This follows a clash between protesters and law enforcement on Monday night in Lafayette Square near the White House. Now, they've placed a public interest notice on this tweet. Now, this is Twitter quote, start quote, we placed a public interest notice on this tweet for violating our policy against abusive behaviour, specifically the presence of a threat of harm against an identifiable group, end quote. Now, Twitter said it violates rules against prohibited threats of harm against groups of people as a form of abusive behaviour on the social network. However, it will allow tweets to remain up, but again, it would restrict its users' ability to interact. So, likes, replies, and retweets without comment. Now, on Monday, Twitter declined to act on a different tweet from the president that made false claims about mail-in voting and the rigged 2020 election, apparently. However, it was not specific enough to cross the line, so that makes sense. And in recent weeks, the president has frequently derided the city of Seattle for allowing protesters to create a police-free area. So, they use it to stoke fear. He's apparently using this to stoke fear and anger within the political base after police have abandoned the station in the Capitol Hill neighborhood. Seattle demonstrators moved into the area, declaring it an autonomous zone. The autonomous zone and the president's latest threat grew out of national civil rights protests against police brutality and racist violence after Minneapolis police killed George Floyd late last month. This is the latest in examples of Twitter enforcing platform rules against the president, as the company used to rarely act on enforcing its policies on tweets from high-profile US politicians. Twitter's shifted its approach to political figures after late last May, when Twitter flagged two of the president's tweets about vote-by-mail systems in California, which led to Trump issuing a retaliatory executive order. Now, the company did also hide another tweet from the president that threatened lethal violence against protesters as well, early on during the protests against George Floyd. So this is definitely interesting as the election starts nearing. It's interesting to see Twitter kind of feeling, more comfortable with taking this sort of action, because they didn't really do this as they say. However, I think it is a long time coming that politicians were seen accountable for their words, and this is definitely a good way to see it. Now, I think though that, again, Donald Trump, I'm not going to make any statements. Now, I'm assuming autonomous zones are also what are police-free zones. I will actually search it now just to double check, but as far as I'm aware, that's just what that means. But it's definitely interesting though to see Donald Trump kind of saying about all of this stuff and saying about serious force being used on all of this stuff. So yeah, I'm just kind of seeing where this will go. So yeah, autonomous zone meaning is a permanent autonomous zone is a community that is autonomous from the generally recognised state. So it's basically a zone that's not controlled by the state, not really controlled by anybody. So it's quite threatening to the government. Now, I still think though that Donald Trump could at least be, if he's going to say that these things should not happen, he could definitely be a lot less forceful about it, and he definitely should not be being inflammatory about this. So I'm interested to see where this comes, especially with the 2020 election coming up later this year. Now, our last two stories, the Mercedes-Benz Nvidia partnership and Twitter's tweets, were provided by TechCrunch. Huge thanks to all of you at TechCrunch for writing these stories. And our next story is coming courtesy of The Verge, with Microsoft having officially released a preview of Android antivirus. The iOS version is still due later this year, but this is now in public preview. Now, it's basically going to include protection against phishing and go a step further than Google's built-in malware protection to offer signature-based malware detection. Scans are instantly performed and detect malware and potentially unwanted applications or PUAs. This was explained by Kanishka Shrivastava. I don't know, sorry, I'm not going to try and pronounce that name. A senior program manager at Microsoft. If the Safe app is downloaded, there will be a lightweight notification letting them know the app is clean. So that's definitely good. I'll also include anti-phishing, so things sent by SMS, WhatsApp, email, or other apps are instantly blocked. And it will be using Defender Smart Screen technology to block unsafe network connections that malicious apps might try to create without the user's knowledge. Now, this is just a year after Microsoft started the public preview of Defender antivirus for macOS, and Microsoft renamed Windows Defender ATP to Microsoft Defender ATP as a result of this. The Mac client provides full scans and threat protection with a mixed with the ability to perform quick or full scans. To perform quick scans as well. Now, Microsoft is planning an iOS antivirus app. However, they are going to be very limited with what they can do, as Apple iOS apps are sandboxed by default, and end users are prevented from sideloading apps from the App Store in the first place. Normally, there are ways to sidestep that, but it's still very hard to do. Now, it's unclear what this iOS version will offer, as it's not been announced. However, in the coming months, in coming months, they will be releasing additional capabilities on Android, and we will hear more about the investments in mobile threat defense for iOS devices as well. So, Microsoft is making Defender ATP generally available on Linux today, allowing the company to offer a unified antivirus solution across desktop and server platforms like Windows, macOS, and Linux. So I've kind of been staying out of the loop on this, to be honest. I can't search for this sort of thing, but it's really confusing to me how you kind of get into it. They don't make it too obvious as far as I'm aware. But it's still definitely good to see this sort of thing happening. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to happen. So obviously the iOS app will be very restricted due to sandboxing of apps. Again, I definitely do applaud Apple for their sandboxing of apps. It makes things a lot more secure and definitely a lot better. So that's today's 3 top stories, and again they were all from the last 3 hours as of this very second. So definitely you could say up to date. If you want kind of a time frame, the Mercedes-Benz story is from 34 minutes ago. The Twitter story is from roughly an hour ago, and the Microsoft story is from 3 hours ago. Again, our stories today were provided by Mercedes-Benz plus Nvidia partnership and Twitter. Those two were provided by TechCrunch, and The Verge provided the Microsoft Android antivirus app. These are generally available on the web, and that's just how I found them. Again, massive thanks to these companies for making these things easily accessible. So that's everything for today. And now let's go into a bit of news about what is for the future of the podcast of the Dynamic Digital World. So as you may know, and a lot of you probably won't know, especially if this is your first time tuning in, I previously had a podcast actually. At first it was called Tech Today, then it was called Tech Weekly. The changing of the name was just due to a copyright infringement that I'd had no idea on, so we just agreed I'll just change the name of it. And the second reason was I was only posting weekly, so I decided to just completely scrap it, change the name, restart. But I stopped posting weekly just after that incident where I couldn't really post for a while because I wanted to be careful about copyright infringement, I stopped posting, and after a couple of months of just doing the on-off episode, I decided I would completely stop that old podcast and reboot into the News and Out Digital World podcast. So this podcast has so far had, I think this is probably the 12th kind of daily tech roundup episode, or 12th or 13th. Yeah, 12th, because there wasn't one yesterday, as we have a WWDC announcement, so that has to take priority. So the 12th tech roundup, and God, I've released a lot more episodes than I did of the last podcast already. So I will, and as I said at the beginning, there is going to be a YouTube channel. So that is coming hopefully by the end of tomorrow, and should be released at the same time as the podcast episode for tomorrow is released. Now, the YouTube channel will not include any additional video content or photo content. It will merely be another way for you to access the podcast in podcast form. However, there will be, for say, when I'm doing previews of the first iOS beta, the audio will go onto the podcast. However, it does say there are video uploads supported, so I will try and take a look at that, see if I can do anything with video for my podcast. That could be nice to do. But again, I will do a video of, say, the iOS update, and I will also do a video of the macOS update. Now, the iOS update will probably be, or I should say iPadOS, update. I won't be able to show off all features. I don't have an Apple Pencil, so anything related to Scribble will not be able to be shown off. I'm really sorry about that. I wish I had a way, I just don't. But as for the YouTube channel, again, tomorrow at the same time as the next episode is released, that's when you can expect to see it. This is the Down Out Digital World. My name is Luke. I'll see you in the next episode.